Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gladden Show. Today we have with us our dear friend MJ. He's going to introduce himself better, and we are going to be talking about networking, what is networking, and how he used networking in his own background and his own experience generally. So, MJ, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Garmondi, for inviting me. So as Garmondi said, my short name, or let's say an American name, is MJ, but my original name is Mirjahan. I come from Uzbekistan. It's in Central Asia. It's part of former Soviet Union. Now it's a separate country. We'll talk about the networks, which I really found a very important thing for one's personal and professional development or reaching the goals and achievements.
What is networking in your own context?
So let's talk in general how I see networking. So networking is one of the important resources, one of the important capitals I see. Traditionally people understand capital can be in a monetary form or in the form of, let's say, like natural resources, like in countries, like oil or different financial or gold or gas can sometimes seen as a capital or resource. Also, these days, people talk about human resource, like knowledge, skills as a capital as well. But I see networking is also another form of capital, like I would say social capital. It's very important to achieve one's personal goal or development or professional goals. So in my life, based on my own observations and review of my own life course, I found networking has been a very instrumental investment for my achievements.
So
I can share some examples, definitely.
Yeah, we are going to go to example, but just looking at it from the general context, because I know you live in the US also for some time and maybe some parts of the world as well. Is networking different as it relates to context, settings in respect to people and their own circumstances?
So, I come from Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan's society or people's living is different than in US. Let me be more specific. Our country, our society is more of a collective society. People live with the family. There's a lot of extended family relationship. Nuclear families. Nuclear family means wife, husband, and children. That's very common in U.S., but in Uzbekistan, extended families live together. So we have relationship with our friends. We have a lot of close relationship with our neighbors. So that makes a foundation of the network, like personal network. Let me talk about the professional context. For example, like we make a joke with my friends. They call it in Uzbekistan, like friends or relatives, uncles, when they hire their cousins or sons or relatives to the jobs or support them to get some lucrative jobs. They, in the Western language or in the language of, let's say critics, they call it nepotism, which is as a negative thing. Nepotism is
Yes,
offering a job to someone without looking into the open competition.
Yeah.
But when my friends tell me how is in America nepotism, they call it like networking is a kind of more diplomatic way of nepotism.
Yeah, nepotism, right?
Yeah, so there's some, people can interpret it differently. So, to your question, in our country, in the context of Uzbekistan, it's a part of culture. People support each other to get, development, support, growth, personally, professionally, academically. For example, like, let's say in Uzbekistan, if I'm growing young person, I'm going out of high school, then my parents would think, okay, they should support me to get a job, to get an education. So what they think is try to connect to the successful family members, let's say my uncles or cousins who are successful, they say, okay, let's connect with this person. Maybe he may give you some opportunities. Maybe he may have some ideas. Or he may introduce you to some of his partners, colleagues. So you can connect with them and start getting some initial job opportunities. Or they may think, like if there is someone in the community who is successful, politician or businessman, and they start thinking, okay, let's talk to this person. Maybe he may help you. So you see, networking works through families, through neighborhoods, through communities. Or, if you went to school, like high school, or let's say college, it's a college, you start building some professional relationship with your classmates, a college mate, who in future can get some jobs. So if they are successful in business or in let's say government job or international industry, they may know you from their school time and they may help you with getting some new opportunities. So you see, this kind of network starts from school, from college, from community, from family.
Yeah, and I like the way you try to break it down, and so that people can see network to be a very a diverse sense of idea where you reach out to your community and your family in specific, and whatever you find yourself, whether it's professional, whether it's academic, and you just interact with people. But I just want to ask you specifically, of like you rightly say, in your own context, can you point us some example of how you have used networking in your own career?
Yeah, let me give you an example from my own experience. There have been a lot of different cases. The one I want to share is I went to college to get my undergrad degree on English language, so English language pedagogy. I went to the college where we learned English language grammar, literature, right? So in my college, we had few teachers, professors who came from United States. So they taught us in English language. They were Peace Corps volunteers. So I had an opportunity to be in their classes. It was a big dream for us to practice our English language, talking with the native speakers. So that was a good opportunity. But for me, it was important to engage with these teachers beyond the classroom. Not only talk with them in the context of classes or books or writings, but also I wanted to get in touch with them more on a personal level, to know them better and they know me better. So I can tell you that there was a few Peace Corps volunteer teachers with whom every Saturday we played basketball. So they were good at basketball, and I was also doing good with basketball from my high school. So we played basketball. We started connecting very much. We started knowing each other. We connected at the level of hobbies, at the level of interests, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're outside of classroom setting, then your relationship's different. You start, like, in our culture, you don't hang out with your teachers, professor. You don't connect, you don't joke with the professor. But with this American professor, it was easy. They were more kind of very casual. For example, when you're playing basketball, you could be in the same team. You cheer up together. You share. When you're beating other team, you can connect with a professor. On a personal level, you celebrate the victory, or you hit each other, you break, you help. So it's all different kind of relationship you're building. So that is a good platform building network, especially with an American professor who speaks English better. So what happened later on, I want to tell you example how that basketball platform helped me further. So one of these basketball games, or after basketball games, the professor told us and me that another Peace Corps volunteer was expected to come to my hometown, and they are looking for some host family where this newcomer can be living. And they said, if you're interested, you can apply. We can go and check your family house. If they fit, we can maybe recommend. So I talked with my mother and family. They agreed. We applied. And at the end, my family was selected to be host family for a new Peace Corps teacher. And he stayed with us. He was assigned for 2 years to live in my house, in my family. This is a huge thing because on a daily basis, I speak with someone in English. It's even not only classroom or outside of, but in the same house we talk about everything.
So did your parents also speak English?
nobody spoke English at home except me. I was at the even beginner level.
Oh.
So it was a great opportunity for all of us. My sister started talking in English. I tell you now, my youngest sister recently graduated from same English school, and she's English teacher now at school.
Wow.
So that person stayed with us. Every day we talked with him. In the mornings, we brew tea together. We talk about American life, and we talk about Uzbekistan life. We're connected even culturally. So, you see, that basketball built another huge social capital for me. Because that American professor or teacher, he was English language teacher for school. So he stayed with us, in my family, every day. We talk, we eat, we share. As you see, through that person, I could now get an opportunity to connect to his friends, to his community, to his network, right? So I'm now expanding my opportunities. And it exactly happened. What happened is there was another American woman in the city, who I didn't know, and she was a manager of UN program, UN's development program. And one day, this person, like my friend who was living in my house, he said that UN project had a job opening, and he said maybe I could apply. So I applied, and I was invited to the interview, and I was successful in the interview. Then I was hired for this UN project. You see, first, professor, then we played basketball. Through basketball, I could hear there's Peace Corps volunteer, we'll be looking for a new house, and then we were given opportunity to be a host family. Then new Peace Corps volunteer could connect me to the UN person with a new job, and I could get to the job level. So from basketball, we could, level up to different levels. At the end, I could get a job.
Yeah.
Right? Interestingly, that woman who hired me for that UN project, her name is Abigail Wilmer. She is from Ithaca.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Not too far from here.
Yeah, just
that
2 miles away.
In 2001, 18 years ago. So I worked there, but after 6 months, I was 23 years. After 6 months, she said, okay, I'm taking you to the United States to go to the conference and talk about the project and present the project. It was a great, amazing opportunity for me. So you see, here's how network is working. That personal building, like interest, a hobby. Let's say basketball was hobby. Basketball-based network, it allowed me to reach to the professional network.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I came to United States. I started connecting to the international community, international professionals platform.
Yeah. It's even hard to imagine just going on a basketball court or maybe on a soccer pitch and just, having to meet people and through them you get connected and to a professional level. It's just hard to connect, like what you just said, which is very inspiring, how to connect, a hobby or a sports to professional. And your story is amazing in that connection. So when you came to the U.S., was there any extra connection you also made in terms of networking? Your first time?
Before, I will definitely share more about my U.S. Networking experience. But before that, you reminded me one interesting point. When I played basketball, I never thought I would build a network and that network will bring me to the profession or job. I never thought about it. So everything was based on being myself, being sincere, being honest. Like in my building relationship with that professor, very pure. No, no coercive, no any hidden agenda on that. It was just very pure building relationship, being honest, fair, sincere relationships. And it's been all the way throughout the entire life, my networking, it's been the fundamental, bottom line of it. So that's why I want to highlight here, if anybody wants to think about expanding, building network, this is one of the important rules. Just be yourself. Yeah. And I want to make sure people should not think all relationships can last forever. No, because people are different, interests are different, hobbies are different, and people's priorities change, nature, characters are different. So with some people, it can last forever. For some people, it may just be very short term. So and it is normal. That's why you should be prepared. Like if you want to go with someone to, build some good relationship, you should be prepared. It can happen in different ways. So that's why I want to emphasize that you should be very honest and fair, sincere, and you should not have a kind of very coercive agendas out of building a relationship. It just to be mutual. Other person also will be gaining at least like emotional capital from you.
Yeah. So will you describe your own networking with the American professors and what it led to? Will you describe that as a surprise for you?
So you mean the surprise in what term?
And when I mean surprise, I'm talking about because you, like you said, it was a habit. You went out to play basketball. You were connecting with people, but you saw yourself a few months later, a few years later, you now working with the UN. You're taking a trip now to the US for the first time. Did all of this come as a surprise?
Oh, now when I think about it, it was kind of very unexpected and unorganized and unplanned. It just by its nature, it went through. But in other words, now I can, recall those moments, and I can say maybe I was lucky. In some sense, maybe my passion, my interests, my personality, maybe I'm very social. My personality also helped me to connect and stay in a relationship with them. Because I always try to communicate with people, to stay, socialized, going to different parties. Maybe that was one of the factors.
So we could say that all of that is kind of like the characteristic of networking, right?
I would say that it came out of kind of, personality, character, like being social, I'm a very curious person.
Okay.
So my curiosity maybe played a great role. And, not to say exclude myself from opportunities, maybe. I call myself opportunist, actually. I'm taking opportunities in a good sense. So, yeah. But, my life principle is I say accept and give and accept. Give and accept. It's not one way. So when you should give to someone and when you're offered, you should accept it. So accept, it's not a take, it's not steal, but accept it. If you are offered, you should accept it. And at the same time, you should give away. So that's kind of should be the fundamental of any building relationships.
Before we go for our first break, I would just want to ask, on your first trip to the US, how was it? How did it go?
So it was amazing. It was, there's much more to talk about. It happened 20 days after 9/11. So
wow.
can you imagine? I come from a predominantly Muslim country, and right after 9/11. So you can imagine that. And my country, Uzbekistan's neighbors, was Afghanistan. So there's a whole story about it. But from professional network perspective, it was a good opportunity myself first to be here, to be able to present my project in front of international professionals, experts. That was a big deal for me to speak about what I'm doing in front of international experts. That helped me to build some confidence. That helped me to prepare myself, like public speaking in front of native English speaker who is also expert on the field of development. So from that perspective, it was good. But on a personal level, I could connect to my old friends who were Americans, whom I knew earlier, and I called from a hotel, to continue the relationships.
Wow, thank you so much, and we'll take a break and be right back.
Hello, this is the Gladden Podcast with Kamunju Warren, a show where we hear real-life stories of amazing people from around the world. For academia to the general society, our guests share stories that motivate and inspire. Join us every week for a story that will motivate and inspire you.
Welcome back, and we continue our session with MJ. MJ, we just left out talking about your experience, your own networking back home, and I know that you are here right now in the U.S. and you are at Syracuse University doing your PhD. Do you mind telling us a little bit about networking in terms of how maybe they help you in getting to where you are in your PhD program or just within Syracuse University?
So yeah, if I can kind of summarize a little bit, conclude the free breaks. But so what's important is, as a person, you should be very honest to yourself. You should not fabricate when you want to do a relationship. You should be sincere as a person, honest yourself, be pure. That's kind of I follow as principles. So talking about my experience of networking in the US, I want to start first how I came here.
Yeah, that would be great.
What brought me here? So I want to start with a very important word I share with my friends, or younger people who ask me my, let's say, sort of achievements, right? So there is a word I really admire. It's called passion. I even tell them, people, follow your passion. But not everybody may understand, may even visualize, or even have their understanding, or let's say, meaning, or what they're passionate about. What's a passion? So for me, when I was working in Uzbekistan on the project on supporting the persons with disabilities, to be more socially included, not to be discriminated, that was a project. I was hired by international NGO, and I was paid. It was a new project for me. But during this project term, I started understanding more issues of disability and persons with disabilities. Then I felt that there is something need to be done with problems persons with disabilities are facing. So after even project finished, I continued working on a voluntary basis on helping, supporting the NGOs of people with disabilities and individuals. And because it became a passion, I became very passionate about the issues of disability. Then, so when I was connected, I started writing my own blog. In 2009, I started writing blog about different issues in different language, English language, Uzbek language, sometimes Russian language, to practice my passion. Then I, shared my write-ups on the social media. People could see what I'm writing about. Then American Embassy in Uzbekistan has a public affairs section, and one day they reached out to me, and actually, I need to tell that I used to go to American Embassy's movie nights. They had movie nights, like I think once or twice a month. I could meet people there. I could talk, like very casual settings, like coffees, watching movie. Before that, even so, like very basic, like, hi, how are you? What are you doing? Where are you from? What's your business? What do you? The very basic level, like face-to-face connection, is very important. That's the kind of very lowest level of building network. So if you don't go there, so you don't see those people. So I was there, I met people, I talked, communicated, and the embassy people started knowing me, what's my job is, what I do. So one day they talked to me, they said, hey, can you help us with inviting some NGOs and some individuals with disabilities to the U.S. Embassy event where they invited the movie heroes. So there was a movie in the U.S. It's called Body and Soul. It's about two individuals living together, like two individuals with disabilities living together. And they did this movie in embassy, and I helped with inviting several dozens of persons with disabilities through my network. Network among disabled people. So the embassy people started very happy, with that, and they wanted to appreciate. And the next time, in 2013, they asked me again if I could help with similar support, like inviting many people with disabilities to meet with a group of writers. So writers from US came, and there were about, I think, 4 or 5 writers from the United States. And among them, there was one writer, a blind writer, like professor, and he was from Syracuse University.
Wow.
So we could invite a lot of people, activists, advocates of persons with disabilities to this event, and it was an amazing event. And embassy again was really happy with turnout, and they, to show the appreciation, they offered me if I could, if I wanted to meet with that professor from Syracuse University over lunch, and they said we'll organize if you want to. I said, really good offer, thank you very much, and I really took that opportunity and met with that professor, and he was from Syracuse University, and I never knew about Syracuse University.
So they knew your passion, they knew whatever you stand for, and they just thought that you and the professor would have been a good match, and they thought by arranging a lunch or a dinner, that could be a very good opportunity for you.
Yeah, you see, writing my blogs, even so I'm not paid, but I was writing, but it's because of my passion, right?
Yeah.
So they asked me to invite some people with disabilities, embassy. So I built a good network with embassy. It's very important because there's a lot of opportunities. Exchange programs come out, like Fulbright, Hubert Humphrey programs. So then they offered me, hey, you are interested in disability. You want to talk about this disability with a professor who is professor of disability studies in the university in the US. I said, really good opportunity. So you see, they helped me to connect with a professor from university. This was my first initial academic connection, like building my academic network. I never had academic background, but professor, his name is Steve Kusisto, he's university professor at Syracuse University currently. He's working at the Verteblatt Institute. So we first met over lunch. I talked with him. I told him about my interests. And then he really strongly recommended me to apply to university, Syracuse University. So after that meeting, I was interested and I applied to the program called Hubert Humphrey program. It's a Fulbright funded program. And then, honestly, I went through all steps, like, screening stage, application review, and TOEFL test. And final was interview stage at the embassy. And finally, they offered me this full fellowship, scholarship, 1 year, 10 months. And they said, I could not select university myself, but my proposal, application was mainly about disability policies and the rights of persons with disabilities. And they picked Syracuse University to send me. It was an amazing for me news because I met a professor from Syracuse University and they are sending me to Syracuse University. Wow. This is how I came to Maxwell School, and this was kind of my first engagement with the academic community in American academic community. So when I came here, I first met again with the Steve Kusisto, and we met 1 year ago in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. And we were so happy, we chatted, we remembered all that conversations we had with him. So then he started introducing me to other professors, to other disability community, to researchers, to PhD students, to scholars here. You see, now I'm building my academic community, academic network.
Networking is enlarging.
So now it's not only enlarging, it's now expanding from professional into academic.
Academic, yeah.
Yeah. So you see, I'm engaging to academic community at the law school, at the School of Education. Then I started showing up my passion. I was invited to some classes to deliver guest speech. I was delivering guest speech in 2-3 classes. Then I was interested to do more academia. I wanted interested to do more doing research, scholarship. That's why I applied for PhD on disability studies at Syracuse University. And Professor Steve Kusisto was one of the professors who gave me strong recommendation. And then I was accepted to the program and Cultural Foundation of Education at School of Education.
Wow.
And currently, Steve Kusisto is my dissertation advisor.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
In 2013, we met in Uzbekistan, I would say, I guess accidentally, but now he's my dissertation advisor.
Wow. Wow. So if you look back today, if you have some advice for young MJ who was somewhere down in Uzbekistan and just sitting and thinking about where can I go from here? What can I do? Where's my next step? If you have some advice for young MJ, what would be your advice to him today? Just looking back and maybe looking at some of the things you did right, some of the things you did wrong. What would be your advice?
Let me tell I think everybody made some wrong decisions, some mistakes sometimes, knowing, being aware, not being aware, including myself. So when you're young, right, you don't know much. What do you want to do and how do you want to take your decision? Where do you want to go? Which direction to take? At that stage, you need some people who can give you good guidance and good support. So that means you should try to be surrounded by people, some good role models, and who could give you some support and guidance. For example, there are a lot of people I'm very appreciative, very grateful. Like someone gave me a job like, back in Uzbekistan, gave me a job, taking huge risk. That person took a big risk by giving me a big job. And that person, I'm so grateful, and we're not very close friends. And during that period, that person was so, tolerant. I was doing a lot of mistakes. I was so kind of sometimes down. I was not thinking I can handle, but that person was supporting and giving me good guidance, directions. So what my point is, at the early stage, try to connect, integrate to some good people. Be surrounded by successful people who have, let's say, we call it self-made people. Like, self-made means you try, achieve something. Mm-hmm. Be surrounded. Learn their life phase. Learn their life course, what they did, what kind of difficulties they went through. So those people can give you some guidance and support. That's kind of one. Secondly, be patient, right? Be patient. Like, things don't come overnight. Be patient and move towards direction you want to go. Then you will find your passion. Passion is very important. Like, you need to love something. You need to love what something you want to do. Like, when you love something, you will research. You will find out. You will learn. You will improve your knowledge even without payment. Even no one pays you, but you will build your skill. You will Google. You will watch YouTube. You will watch TEDx. That because you love that. That's what I do with my disability knowledge. That's what I do with my disability passion. So that's what I would tell to younger people, because when you find that area which you're passionate about, you start finding different communities, like professional communities, like on LinkedIn, on Google, on Facebook. You start connecting, you start following, you start joining communities, and then you will start learning more. So that's why you should just try to follow some passion, what you like.
And talking about passion, and as we conclude, I just want us to talk about, and maybe you can also point in your concluding statement, what are just some of the key lessons to learn, or some of the key things to look up for if you are networking?
So, one thing is, don't be afraid of integrating into communities, go out of your box. Don't be afraid of being wrong. That's one thing. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, and don't be afraid of being wrong. So integrate, go integrate. Let's say if you're in America, it doesn't matter. Integrate into broader community. Integrate even outside of university. Integrate into the city. Branch out to different communities, to different groups. So I would say integration of different networks, groups, gives you opportunities where you want to go. Don't isolate. Don't isolate yourself. If isolation is building walls around yourself, building barriers around yourself, is isolation. When you are in your box, when you're isolating, and people isolate themselves for very different reasons, like because they are not extrovert, they may be sometimes introvert. They don't like to communicate with people. Sometimes people are afraid. Sometimes they're perfectionists.
Yeah.
You're a perfectionist. You don't want to speak something might seem like awkward
and wrong.
People might seem you sound weird.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of that. You're just a different person. Accept your difference, and don't be afraid of being wrong in any sense. You can be wrong, but then accept wrong. Being wrong is okay.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of summarize with one quotation from one. This is words of the person I follow in my life. So in Czech Republic in 90s, there was a very famous hockey player. His name was Wayne Gretzky. So Wayne Gretzky says, when you play hockey in ice, what was that called? I forgot the name of that. In hockey, you play not the ball, but what you hit. Whatever.
I'm not a hockey player, Nada, so I can help you with that.
We come from South, so we don't have much hockey.
Yeah.
But I knew the name of it. I forgot it. So whatever that object is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't hit it, thinking that you will miss the goal, right? If you think, no, I don't get to the goal, that's why I'm not gonna hit it. That means you are 100% missing it. 100% you are not getting the goal. But if you think, well, let's hit it, that there is some chance, even 1% maybe chance, somewhat it may end up in the goal. So my point with this is, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Try.
Yeah. That's a very good probability law. If you don't take the chances, you're never gonna know the results. So once you take the chances, there is a high probability of you getting maybe a 5%, 2%, even 100% of whatever you wish to have. Thank you so much for joining us, MJ. And if there's any final word you want to add before we conclude?
Well, passion, follow your passion. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you so much. Follow your passion. Do not be afraid to integrate, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you're a young person coming up, you have to be patient. You have to get yourself surrounded with people that you believe share your passion, people you think you can work with, and they will be able to help you. And don't be afraid also to make mistakes. MJ also mentioned that most of us are afraid to make mistakes. We are afraid to say the wrong thing. We are afraid to do the wrong thing. But it's all part of life. If you want to be very successful at networking, you have to just, hit your chance. If it doesn't work up, that's fine. You always have another time to try, and just keep trying and keep trying. Thank you so much, MJ. If I did summarize what you said.
Yes, well, that's it. But in future, if we're going to talk, another topic is I would like to talk is about happiness.
Happiness, that's great. Next time, MJ, we're going to have you on, and we're going to definitely talk about happiness. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Hello, this is the Gladden Podcast with Kamunju Warwick, a show where we hear real-life stories of amazing people from around the world. For academia to the general society, our guests share stories that motivate and inspire. Join us every week for a story that will motivate and inspire you.